Hi guys, so today we're going to talk about financial instruments that you can use to mitigate the effects, the potential effects of inflation if you start printing money to get your reindustrialization going. So there are quite a few financial instruments that you can use, the main one being sovereign currency swaps. So what does that mean? It means that you get an agreement between with another sovereign state, for example China, to exchange your own currency against our currency at a set rate. So you could say we're going to exchange 50 billion pounds at 100 billion for 100 billion yuan. So the way to set that 50 pound £1 for 2 yuan. Now, the advantage of doing that is that it doesn't really matter what the exchange, the currency market thinks when you're printing money, because obviously, if you make more credit available in the economy, that can, in principle, cause inflation because there's more of your money chasing goods. And if you're industrializing, the UK doesn't actually manufacture any kind of machine tools, so those machine tools will need to come from abroad. But to buy them, you need to go on foreign exchange markets and then get the currency you need to buy the machine tools. But then that means there's more of your money chasing other currencies, so that will cause inflation. So what you can do in practice is just try and get that foreign currency from the sovereign governments and themselves. Now, the only issue with those kind of sovereign currency swaps is that they're subject to political agreement. So, because those are political, they're financial instruments, but they're political instruments first and foremost. We saw that with Argentina when Argentina was suffering from a really bad bout of deflation. China stepped in and gave them a massive 38 billion sovereign currency swap. And that was really good for Argentina, because Argentina number one trading partner is actually China, and therefore they went really, inflation in those kind of instances is not too much of an issue with respect to goods importing if your main trading partner is giving you that kind of sovereign currency swap. And also the United States did the same thing, they stepped in as well to stabilize the Argentinian currency, and they gave them a sovereign currency swap as well. So those are very, very powerful instruments. Now, the second thing you want to do, especially if you're the UK, is to legislate for your pension funds to repatriate as many of the foreign assets that they've got externally. So, for example, UK pension funds own about 700 billion of UK Treasury bills, and there's no real reason why all that money should be held in foreign bonds, because that's what US Treasury bills is effectively debt. There's no reason why the UK should be holding that much US debt. So what you can do as a government is legislate for all those foreign bonds to be sold, and then that will generate a lot of money, foreign currency, that you can then use to support the pound. So the more you print, the more you want to sell off those foreign bonds, because you can then use them to buy UK currency, and that will support the pound during your money printing phase. As long as you're using creating your credit for useful investment, for productive investment, for example, buying new machinery to produce more of what you're importing at home, then that's a very useful thing to do. It's actually a really good thing to be selling off that foreign debt. Because remember, when you buy US foreign debt, for example, you're effectively subsidizing their own investment programs at home. So if the US government needs money to get some kind of new policy subsidized, we are subsidizing it when we should be subsidizing our own policies here. So mandating for those pension funds to repatriate the money that they hold abroad, we'll repatriate them here. That's really something you want to do. Now, the third thing you can do is to force local foreign banks, or foreign banks that have a base in your country. You can force them to hold a lot of them, let's say 35-40% of their capital in your bonds, in gilts, in UK gilts, long-term, short-term gilts, right? You can do that. You can legislate and force them to do that. And what that does is they then have to print new money in their own currency, so wherever they're based. So if you're Bank of America, for example, then you have to print new US dollar, and then buy UK gilts to comply with that policy. The policy can be in respect to your local capital, so that's absolutely fine for those banks to do that. And that means that, again, suddenly you have a lot of foreign currency, foreign assets chasing UK pounds, and again that tends to have a deflationary effect. When I say deflationary, I mean it inflates your currency, right? So it makes import less expensive. So it will support any kind of money printing program that you have. Now, the third instrument that you can use is something fairly that no one has talked about before. Very handsome. It's something that no one has talked about before. It's something I call technological guilt. So this is something invented by this is something that's kind of promoted, I guess, kind of promoted by Caminomics. So Caminomics effectively says that you should really create a new type of bond, a technological bond, so that external companies can invest into any kind of reindustrialization program that you have, so that they become vested in the success of your company. So that effectively means that you can issue new bonds. Those new bonds, those new gilts, they're really no different from standard gilts, but you give them with respect to any technological investment that you're going to create. So you could link those gilts, for example, repayments, to something higher than just the base rate. Right? You could say, okay, here's a base rate for my technological gilt, maybe 5%, but that's also going to be linked. That's just a floor, right? You could say the floor is the same as the standard gilts, right? So the standard gilts are like a 5%. You say, okay, that's the floor, and then for the investment that this money is going to go towards, if this investment does well, you get more. So it's a bit like venture capital, right? You get more. The interest on the capital is a lot higher, and that's a really good thing, because for investors, they guarantee their money anyway, and they get a bit more if everything goes well. So it makes it more attractive for private companies, effectively, beyond just financial institutions. For example, venture capital might be looking to invest with you, which is effectively new money that's not necessarily used, that you won't necessarily see vested in a government sovereign bonds. So that gives. So that's like an imperative, an impetus for the government of the time also to do things properly, right? So when you design those bonds, you must use the money to do something productive, to invest in your industrial capacity, and that's a really good thing. Okay, so those are just some basic ideas of financial instruments that you can use to make sure that you're not too affected by inflation when you start printing money to reindustrialize. The one thing to mention is that the more you industrialize, the more deflation will set in. So even if you have an initial bout of inflation, that will tend to stabilize. Why? Well, because if you invest in your productive capacity, then you can always produce more goods. So the physical kind of shock caused by increased demand when there's a lot of credit in the system, that abates, right? It dissipates because you can produce more because you invested in industrial capacity. So in effect, reindustrialization, it has that really great deflationary effect in time, and that's something that you see in places like China, where they've invested a lot in their industrial capacity, but also their electricity capacity. So they have so much electric capacity. So capacity can also be your power capacity, but they have so much electric capacity. They've also invested a lot in anything electric and green energy. So it means they have access to really cheap energy. But again, you need to make those investments. You have to be, as a government, forward thinking. So so those are kind of a few different financial instruments I can use to help you in your industrialization journey. Right, thank you guys.